afternoon, neighbor. Today, I'm out here at the Leidic Bog, which is a remnant of the Great Kankakee Marsh. And I believe it was either the late 1800s or the early 1900s. They drained it, the whole marsh, to make way for farmlands. And in some of the stuff that I've read, it was comparable to the Everglades. And I often think about just what it must have been like, just this large marshland, and to have that near, I don't know, I just think about how different the area might be if we still had this giant marshland that extended all the way from South Bend, Indiana to the Illinois state line. And I think about just all of the stuff that was lost too. All of the animals, the wildlife, and I'm sure the insects and spiders and skeeters. But that's not why I hit record. The title of this video is I Wish. And I've been told before, there's no sense in wishing for things. That's not how the universe works. And I'm not sure who told me that. There's no sense in wishing for something, because the universe doesn't work like that. There's no such thing as genies, and there's no such thing as spells. There are ideas which captivate the mind, which are in some ways a spell. But beyond that, the universe doesn't contradict itself for the sake of one person's longing. And a lot of times wishes, they ask for something beyond the practical and the reasonable, and it's good that the universe doesn't work that way, because just imagine all of the things that people would wish that would hurt other people and potentially hurt themselves, the wisher. The wishy. And when I think of the universe, more and more, I begin to think of God and the fact that God is the universe. And I think about how God is like infinitely beyond my understanding, and how I would say that like God is the universe, but also beyond the universe. The universe is sustained by a personal God. At least that's what I believe. And I think about prayers and how sometimes a lot of my prayers, and I think rightfully so, they sound like wishes. God, I wish this. God, I wish that. And I don't know how God responds to those prayers. But I believe that God hears them. And it's saddening to me that God hears the pleas and the cries of his people, but he doesn't always move. And there's really no good answer for that sometimes. Not a comfortable answer. My faith, tradition, believes in a just, restorative, good God, but also the God of my faith allows genocide. And the people who've claimed my faith, they've committed genocide. And they've harmed the people who are more righteous than them. I think a lot of times the people who are declaring a faith, who are naming a faith, they're only naming it because of the unrighteousness or the injustice that they feel within themselves, or the injustice that they've understood themselves to commit. And so it's oftentimes a truth that the preacher is only projecting his woes onto other people. And some of it I believe is that the preacher is naming something that he sees in the culture, in the world around him or her. But I think other times it's he's misunderstanding. They're misunderstanding what it is that they're seeing. They're putting words to something in immature fashion. And I'm afraid of doing that. And I feel like I've done that before. And yet, I think it's the job of us human beings to put words to things and to explain things. I wish that I had a better starting point in life. I wish that the world didn't seem so chaotic. I wish for control. I don't know if I even understand what I'm saying when I wish for those things. Everybody wants to rule the world, as the old song goes. I don't want to rule the world. But I also don't want to be ruled over by the world. I don't know where all these wishes come from. If they were placed in my mind by ideas of the culture around me, or if they are inherent to human desire, or if they're a mess of all the broken remnants of a world that no longer is, or I don't know. But when I look at the world, I am afraid of it sometimes. Just in the sense that none of it cares for me. And that there's a high entrance cost to living in the world. And that there are people who hate other people, who want to rule over other people and get rid of other people. It just, all the propaganda involved in living in this world. I'm frustrated by all of it. And it's everywhere you go, the good stuff and the bad. I love walking through a library or a bookstore and reading all the titles on the book. Some of the titles, they're calling out to me, and they're telling things, they're speaking different things to me. Some of them are lonesome, some of them are reassuring, and they're all riffing on the same truth, and yet distant from each other. And then outside of a bookstore or a library, you can go out on the streets and you can see all the different bumper stickers and t-shirts and all of the ads on telephone poles and giant billboards. And some of them are for good services, and some of them are just part of the narrative that we've built as dysfunctional humans. But I remember seeing all this as a kid, feeling this longing or just this solemnity in a library and bookstore. And then also just feeling this, I don't want to live here, after encountering the city and just the cold, uncaring feel that the city has. And I don't feel that as much as I used to. But it's still there because the world is imperfect. Oh. I don't know, I was in Taco Bell yesterday, entering my order on the kiosk, and there was a long wait, so I just decided to ditch it and leave. There was a baseball game in town, and I think that's why it was so busy. I went to a few other restaurants, and those are busy too. And I got the feeling just like, wow, like this is really neat. Or just, I don't know, feeling in some small way just connected to just this life in town. The fact that everybody wanted food, and yeah. But then there was another part of me that was like I wasn't invited to this baseball game, and baseball games cost money. And I don't know. I don't want to complain too much. I'm not really interested in a baseball game. I'm more interested in just I'm interested in being with people. And that's something I've longed for a long time. And it would seem that the world's too busy for me. It doesn't have time for me. Never has. In school, everyone was worried about their education and the jobs that would arrive after that education. Everyone was worried about funding and how they were going to pay for their lives. But what really mattered at the time, and what really matters at every other time, is the people around us. And you never know what you have until it's gone. Sometimes I feel like I've always known what I've had, and known that it would be gone someday. And the people around me were the opposite. They didn't know that they were missing out on my presence and on what I had to share. And oh my goodness, these bugs, they weren't so bad a few minutes ago. They're bugging me. Flying up my nose, flying into my eyes. No thanks. They've found their target. All of them have found their target. There's at least a couple dozen. Maybe this will lose the scent. They'll lose their scent, and then they'll start gathering again. No, they're back. Sometimes I wonder if they're orbiting around me, or if they're there are just this many in the forest. Oh. Okay. Where was I? I think part of this longing comes from the absence of my parents growing up. They did a lot right, but they were absent to their own hearts, and so they couldn't be present to me. Sorry, this is gross. I'm not cutting any of this footage, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But it was all wiggly up my nose. Ugh. And so I've looked for that presence in the people around me, misunderstanding that presence, and feeling a deep presence among strangers, because of the fact that I both felt a presence from my parents, which I still can't fully understand, and feel a similar curious presence or curiosity when I'm around strangers. And so I feel close to a lot of people who don't feel close to me. And that's hard, especially when those people, when we as people are on different pages because of the mess that, I don't know, it just feels like life is a mess sometimes. Life is not the mess, we're the mess. And we need to grow up so that we can be less of a mess in front of other people and less of a mess with other people. And that's hard sometimes because we go into relationships with ideas of different agreements and different expectations and different hopes. And I think there's a lot of wisdom to be found in just understanding that, like, that we don't need to be anything, and that we are already something, and that we are in some ways a blank canvas, which life happens. And sometimes in life we gotta start anew. The kingdom of heaven doesn't exist in expectations, but there is always this hope of what it can be. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how much of my faith is screwy because of my expectations and my hopes and my dreams and my wishes. It's a lot like that dream that Abraham had. Was it Abraham or? Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna pause this. Okay, I'm back. Jacob's ladder. It was Jacob with whatever that dream was that he saw. Just the sight of something happening between heaven and earth. Some sort of something. I feel like I've had a similar experience just in seeing the perfection that the world could be, seeing the perfection that we as people can be or could be. But since that, it's just sort of been like the slow realization of, oh, that isn't what's happening right now. We're all just, I don't know what's happening right now. I don't want to give a clean answer. But I started off this video thinking that the title would be I Wish. And now I want to send out my wishes. Send out some of the wishes that I've wished. Some of the prayers, perhaps? I don't know. I don't know how big of a difference there is to wishes and prayers. I feel like there is a difference. Just in the fact that, like, I don't know. I'm sure that there's a pastor out there who would vehemently disagree with me. With me even comparing the two. I wish for a job that I actually enjoyed. And I wish that I felt safe. I wish that I had a safer childhood and parents that cared to do something. I think that they cared. I mean, what parent doesn't care? But at the same time, I don't feel that their care had any good action behind it. I think they were just trying to shovel me off into whatever it was that they did and whatever it was that they felt was expected of them by the greater culture around us. I wish that my parents had prepared me for whatever this life is. Prepared me to enjoy it. Prepared me to stand up to bullies. I wish that they wouldn't have been bullies. I wish that I had friends growing up. And I wish that I felt comfortable around those friends and safe. And I wish that we weren't all so addicted to the internet, which it's just weird. I wish that we communicated, all of us as a people, out of love rather than fear. And I wish that we took the time to understand each other and took the time to slow down and just live together. Like, it's not about the work. It's about doing something together. It's not about submitting to an authority. It's about realizing all of our own authority and living with each other in the authority of God, the authority of the universe. It's about enjoying life, not later, not preparing to enjoy it. It's about today. I wish that I didn't feel so out of body. I wish that I felt comfortable in my body, and I wish that whatever that discomfort was, I wish it didn't lead to all the other discomforts that I've felt in life. And there's a whole more bunch of story with that. Which maybe I'll share a little bit more on that later. We're going out to the dock into this marshland. Really loud. All of these insects. Not a bad kind of loud, though. Like the highway. I wish that I wanted to go back to my family. I wish that it was safe to go back to my family. I have wanted to go back to my family, but known that it is not a good path forward. There's so many more wishes that I could wish. I think like the other big thing about wishes is that a lot of times we just need to go about our lives and enact whatever it is that we want. Like, I think a part of it involves waiting on the Lord. And God slowly unravels the desires of our heart so that we have them. I don't know the mind of God. I don't know how he works. He or she, how it works. But I look at all of the healthy relationships around me, and I know the grass is always greener on the other side, or we get these pictures in our head of some sort of perfection, and I don't know, having seen the outside, having seen people's relationships from the outside, getting a small glimpse inward, I can see a lot of joy that people have together. And then I've seen also just the heartache. I've seen that in public too, as sometimes saying the grass is greener just means it's just an excuse for not making our own grass green. And my mom in particular had those excuses as to why she wouldn't grow up or be kinder be more joyful and loving, and it's work. It takes a lot of work. Or letting go, I don't know. Yeah. It's sad because it feels like a lot of the wisdom that we have as people, as humans, it spoils very easily. Like, in one sense it's true, but in another it's harsh. It's not the loving way. It's not a fruitful way. And you can do all the right things, but be unfruitful, and all the right things never meant anything to God. Oh, that's a dangerous thing to say. That feels like a dangerous thing. But what I mean is that, like, many times all of the right things is a man-made structure that we're supposed to fit into, rather than God's way, which says, love your neighbor as yourself, and love the Lord your God. And there's freedom in that, just in the sense that all of the rigidity that comes with living in a judgmental, punitive society, all of that unwinds in the kingdom. And yeah, I don't know. I wish at some point, I mean, there's no sense in wishing, because all of the things I need are provided, and all the things I don't have, what are they? They're just something I don't have that maybe someday I'll find or stumble across. And oh. Thanks for joining me here today. It's surprisingly not as buggy in this little section of the woods, this little neck of the woods. It's been cooler here in South Bend for the past 2 days, I think. And I think we're supposed to get some rain in the forecast later today, but I'm sure that'll change. At least it's changed before, and I don't know. I love the rain. I am still waiting on a couple different job applications, and I've got an interview over the phone on Sunday, and I've also got there's one that I'm like really, I guess, hoping for, but their hiring season, or their hiring, got moved to late September, like early October, so it's not something I can really like hope for, because I need a job sooner than later, and I'm still gonna do the interview when they do their hiring process, but I was sort of bummed out with that. And I've been spending a lot of my time at the mall, at the bookstore. I purchased a book yesterday, and I'm excited to start reading that. I'm content, but there's another, I guess my faith would say, be content with whatever you have, with wherever you are. You're all right with where you're at, and yeah. But the wish is, it signals a discontent, I think, in some ways. The wish, it, if we're to be content, then yeah. Thanks for getting this far on the video. Thanks for listening to my thoughts. Peace.